All right, welcome back to another episode of the Rockets Collective. We got the full cast back with us now here. Got Will and Brad in full effect, Lashard Binkley in the building, and also myself, Brandon Scott, Sports Radio 610. Man, I know we got a lot to talk about, man. A lot has happened, it feels like, since the last week when we were able to talk about this team. I know we're going to all have thoughts on the Rockets comeback, the biggest comeback of the season against the San Antonio Spurs, the vaunted, the hated San Antonio Spurs. But before we get into that, I do want to tell y'all about Prize Picks because it is the best place to win money on betting sports. Look, Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while you watch sports. The app is really easy to use. You make a lineup, and all you got to do is pick more or less on a few player stats. You can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including Texas and California. And the best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup, that is. So win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups. The season is already here. All you got to do is use the promo code ROCKETS and download the app now. Prize Picks is good to be right. All right, y'all. Now that we've done that, I gotta check the temperature, man. See how y'all feeling about that comeback, that win. Since the last time we talked, just to catch everybody up, they did lose to Oklahoma City. Okay, so that did happen since the last time we lost. They did lose to the Thunder. Then they backed it up with a win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, albeit without Anthony Edwards. Then, of course, last night's comeback against the San Antonio Spurs. So let's go around the room before we get into these topics, and we're going to do a little audible here. I know we got Tari Eason's return up there up top, but I know we want to talk about Reed. We can even get into it now since that was the story of the game. Hey, Brad, since you weren't here last time, dog, I feel like we can let you go first, man. How you feeling about last night and what you saw from Reed, Sheppard, and overall what the Rockets were able to do?
You know, I've been saying this. I've been saying they need to give Reed the keys, and that's not letting him run the show and everything. Of course, the Rockets have Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant, but this team has been missing a playmaker and a guy who can run the offense and get everyone set. And I feel like Reed does that pretty well, better than everyone else on the roster, and he brings a spark to this team that is missing, and we saw it in that fourth quarter. B. Scott, he had 12 points in that fourth quarter. It was a plus 17. I mean, the eye test showed it, and he was a vital part of the Rockets coming back in that game. He was solid on both ends of the court. He's hitting magical shots. He had one where he crossed over and pulled a three in Dylan Harper's eye and nailed it, and then he drove past Dylan Harper on the next possession and hit an acrobatic layup just like that. And it was money. And Craig Ackerman was going crazy. I can only imagine Toady Center was going crazy as well. So, yeah, I think it was amazing. We've seen this from Reed in the Golden State game. And anytime he has more uses than normal, he sparks. He just sparks the team in really good ways. In really good ways. So someone mentioned it on Twitter, and I think it's true. With Steven Adams hurt, and we'll talk about it later, you have to find ways to offset that and, bounce back. They're not going to be able to play bully ball as much and just get every rebound in the world. They need to have a better half-court offense, and they need to find ways to do better in other areas. And I do believe it starts with Reed Sheppard and playing him more and giving him more usage. I feel like that's a good way to offset it.
Lashard, what do you think about what you saw from Reed last night? And also, I think it is worth mentioning since we're talking about the game, the fact that they held Wemby to 14, like the defensive effort. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to get into that, but I did want to point that out was that you got good Reed and you got good defense from the Rockets. What do you think, Sharp?
Yeah, it's kind of what I've been saying about Reed for a while now. It's really no reason for him to be out the rotation. I know his defensive limitations. I know that sometimes runs MA crazy, and that's why he usually takes them out. But on this particular team, Reed needs to be in the rotation every single night. And I know he's still averaging around 20-plus minutes a game regardless, but sometimes he is yanked out a lot earlier than other players. And he, like Brad was saying, he just has a skill set a lot of the other Rockets don't have. They don't have a lot of guys that can shoot from anywhere on the court. I know they had that high three-point percentage, but I think that was kind of fool's gold because they were just taking such a low volume or a low amount of threes. So I just think that even when he's not making shots, he spreads out the court. The defense has to guard him. I don't see anybody outside of him and Kevin Durant where the defense is literally trying to run them off three-point line. I know Tari Eason is shooting a really high percentage this year, but I just don't see teams really being scared of him taking three-point shots. They're literally running Reed Sheppard off that three-point line every single time he they try to give him the ball with handoffs or coming off a pick. And that opens up the court for everybody else. You need somebody besides Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant that can actually get their own shot. And even though Reed Sheppard is not going to be, James Harden-esque and, dribble for 15 seconds and be able to take his man off the dribble, he can get into the middle of the lane. He can come off those screens. He can come off the pick and roll, and he can get his own shot that way. So I just think that you have to have him on the court. And when you have Reed Sheppard scoring the way he's scoring, the Rockets are just a totally different team.
What you will?
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me the most is with Reed Sheppard's game last night. Something that's kind of been standing out to me a lot with him this season, which is that I lost track at this point, but I should probably go back and look at like some of my other takes and see if I can count them up. There's at least been like 7, 8, maybe 10 games this season where I said the reason we came back and ultimately won the game was because of Reed Sheppard's energy off the bench, or like the games where he started and he was like just lights out, right? Like I've said that multiple times this year, and I think last night's game was another example of it. I think that we were kind of in that moment. I mean, I'll talk about the game a little bit. The Spurs were just hitting everything. Like Julian Champagny had, was it 8 of 16 from three?
8 of 16 from three. It was
Yeah,
insane.
like
7 in the first half.
Yeah, 15. He had 15 in the first quarter, dog.
Yeah.
15 in the first quarter.
Crazy. And like there some of those 16 threes were open. Like I'm not gonna say the Rockets were just playing lockdown defense the entire night. You kind of can't. It's the NBA. But he was hitting some nonsense, bro. He was hitting some BS, bro. They were getting like crazy putbacks on some BS. Like it was, to me, I call it magnet ball. I think they was just hitting everything, and it was kind of just like weather the storm until you can kind of flip the top. Maybe the magnets ran out a little bit, and that's what happened that fourth quarter. But I think what was the catalyst in that was Reed Sheppard. He got some magnets going in that fourth quarter. I just had it pulled up. Let me go back. In that fourth quarter, 12 points, a rebound, an assist, a steal. It was 4-7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 76 true shooting. And I think this box score, it shows you how good of a shot maker he was for the Rockets. Like Brett said, he had that up and under layup that was really crazy. So it depicts that. It doesn't depict how good of defense he played. Like I know everybody, Lashard talked about it, and I agree. Reed does have some limitations in defense because of his size and his experience on that end. But I watched him just last night go out there and impact the game and help us, like will us, not just from a scoring perspective, but on the defensive end as well. Like he was out there blocking shots, he was getting steals, he was containing drives. I saw him contesting shots, right? So that also shows me that not only can I rely upon this guy to hit big shots for us when we need him to, it shows me that when I need him to step up defensively, I know he's capable. So that's one thing I think I need Ime to work with him on, is like making sure that we're not just here to develop you as an offensive player, but to develop you as a defensive player as well. And I think he showed you here's a little bit he can give you on that end. And so I love what I saw from him. Like I think he was the reason we came back and won, or he was one of the reasons we came back and won that game. And I think especially with Steven Adams out, I think you just got to go ahead and start him. I don't know if y'all want to talk about that, but I think you got to go and start Reed Sheppard.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's go around the room with that, because, I mean, look, I'll just add this. I agree with everything that everybody just said. I'll just add that for me, a frustration is the short leash with Reed because of a lot of the things that y'all just talked about. Like the uniqueness of the player, the need for him, like especially when we're talking about a team that has started to struggle offensively. I know they were doing really well from the 3-point line to start the season and had one of the better offenses, but things had – it's weird that things started to look kind of dire offensively around the same time when Reed's minutes started to kind of diminish a little bit, or at least close to it. So like, it was probably not a perfect, but it's pretty close to it. And so I didn't really like that of the short leash. I want Reed to have all of the leeway possible. That's not to say that he doesn't need to play defense, obviously, but to Will's point and to y'all's earlier points, man, he's been doing that. It looks like he especially did that last night. Like you want to say something, Short?
No, just real quick. It was the same thing with Alperen Sengun, his first year with MA. I mean, I know we all remember because people going crazy on Twitter at the time that Sengun didn't play a lot of fourth quarters. A lot of times you had a switchable 5-man lineup. You had Jabari Smith at the center. You had different players playing that center position, and Alperen Sengun wasn't playing late in the fourth quarter. And as he continued to improve on the defensive end, he continued to not be not that he was a huge liability, but now he's a plus a lot of times on the defense end. We saw that last night against Victor Wembanyama. Now he's on the court pretty much every single fourth quarter, and that's kind of the same thing you're seeing with Reed. But yeah, sometimes I do think that Ime has way too quick of he pulls them out way too quick in games, and I understand if he's missing assignments or if they're constantly going at him, they're able to score 15, 20 points, and he's scoring 15, 20 points, really not doing much good. But for what he brings on the offensive end, the effort he does give on defense, like y'all were talking about, he had that block shot, he had that big steal that pretty much turned around the game and gave the Rockets all the momentum. I just think you got to have him on the court. If this was Oklahoma City, they probably wouldn't need him on the court as much because they have multiple guys that can score. The Rockets just don't have that type of roster.
So we'll put it out there. He thinks he should start him, especially with Steven Adams out. Let's work it back around the room, and then we'll come back to Will on it. What about you, Shard? What do you think about that thought that he should be out there? Look, I'll just say I've been saying he should start from the very, very beginning. So I feel like I can almost just exit myself from this conversation. I've been a Reed stan all year. So where you at on it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because like last night, Josh Okogie started, and I know why they did it because they wanted him to guard Wemby because they like smaller players on Wemby like last year with Dylan Brooks. But Josh only played 17 minutes because it's only so much he can do against Wembanyama, and he's not really giving you much on the offensive end. So I think most nights, I would rather Reed be out there starting the game and be able to spread out the court and be able to make it easier for Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun, because when nobody's hitting shots, man, it is hard for them to get any type of separation. They get double teamed, and Reed is that guy that can kind of spread out the court. So I mean, especially at this point, like y'all were talking about with Steven Adams not being there anymore, and you can't really go with the double big as much as you like. You got to be able to make outside shots, and you see when the Rockets make shots, the game is just so much easier for them. So I definitely think Reed should at this point should be the starter going forward.
What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, I was pulling up stats while you were talking, Lashard. I believe Reed brings a different skill set to his team, as we've all been saying. So I would personally start him. I wouldn't have an issue with it. Again, you have to offset not dominating the rebounding battle with Steven Adams being out. So Reed in his 4 starts, I had to look. They won all of his minutes in the times that he did start. And again, we saw him pop off in that Golden State game. And I'm sure Will's going to say it. I'm sorry, Will. I'm probably going to say what you're going to say. If you're going to start Reed Sheppard, you can't just start him. You got to use him, right? You can't just throw him in the corner and just not utilize what he's best at and what's going to help this team excel. Put him on ball. Let him find players. He has excellent skip passes. I like the reads that he makes. So that's personally what I would do. I said it. I tweeted extended minutes, extended usage, and you'll see this team excel. So I would not mind starting him. The starting lineup in question, I looked it up. It would be, I'd imagine, let's see if you guys are on the same page as me. It would be the same 4, with Reed Sheppard, or do you want to start Tari over Jabari? However it is. If you throw in Reed Sheppard with the current 4 that's locked in, it is a negative net rating so far, but I would still go with it to see what happens.
The volume on that probably isn't that big though, right?
It was around. I'll find it really quick. I just
because I don't think because I know for a fact that the Reed, Tari, KD, Amin, and Sengun lineup has. I don't know if they've.
It is 100. Not the worst. It qualifies.
The one I just said.
Well, say it again.
The Reed, Amin, Tari, KD, Sengun. I don't think that.
That lineup is awful. That lineup only played.
It is. But I think has it played? How many minutes has it played? That's what I was going to ask you.
Not a lot. It just had one bad stint. The one with Jabari has played 108 minutes.
I was going to say you threw Tari in there to begin with, so I mean, it couldn't.
Yeah, I know people.
Not to be rude.
Kind of both. Yeah, I wanted to see both. Assuming Jabari would start though, that lineup has played 108 minutes. It has a negative 1.8 net rating. So.
Yeah. And would y'all agree that Tari is probably like, aside from who's the better player, that Tari is probably the better bench player?
Between who?
Between Tari and Jabari.
Jabari like given last year.
I was gonna say Jabari's numbers actually go up when he comes off the bench.
He looked good off the bench last year. I can't hold you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just think that Tari just can do so many other things. Yeah, I think he's more of a singular player. I just think that I know Jabari did well last year, but just to me, it's just a different team. I just think he just fits better with the starters. I just don't see him being able to come off the bench with this particular roster and really
Tari or Jabari. Okay.
I just don't see him coming off the bench and really thriving with this particular roster. I just think he really needs to be in the lineup with Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant. I think that's when he can really, as we slowly kind of starting to see now, I think that's when he really can get the better shots. He seems like he's more in a rhythm when they're on the court. I just think that him trying to go out there and be the guy off the bench, I just don't know if he has that skill set or really will ever have it. But, and also I just think he's really hesitant to put Jabari on the bench for whatever the reason is.
All right, so since we're on Jabari, let's go ahead and talk about him because he had a couple bounce back games, huge game, a couple nights ago. And look, I think it's worth talking about because it has been rough, right? So let's go around the room. What did y'all think about what y'all seen from Jabari over the last couple of games? Are you encouraged by it? What are some trends that you're seeing from it? Start with you, Brad.
I want to say this, starting back in this Chicago game, that was immediately following his 2 awful games in Portland, a bad shooting night against, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be like that. But yeah, 2 bad games, 2 bad games in Portland, a bad game in Sacramento. Chicago, he was having a rough first half and he came in the clutch, nailed 2 huge shots for the Rockets. Actually, a lot, he hit 3 shots for the Rockets in the clutch. And that was a big turning point for him. Then had the best 2 games following that against Oklahoma City and Minnesota. But I loved, of course, everyone loved what they saw in New Orleans, against New Orleans. That was the best shooting night he's had of his career. Hit 7 threes, a career high. He was hitting everything, right? That was great to see. The midi was falling too. It's a confident kid. I see it against San Antonio, 2 for 2 in the clutch. Hit a very important 3 in the corner. And then right after Reed Sheppard, I forgot to mention in my Reed Sheppard talk, he blocked that shot from Julian Champagne. Huge. Jabari comes back on the other side and hits a midi. And that gives the Rockets a 2-point lead with around 2 minutes left in the game. So those are very big points in the game, and Jabari's coming up clutch. And they're going to need this guy. He's an X factor on the team along with Reed Sheppard. So it was great to see him bounce back. I thought they should have benched him in some of those games. I can't lie. I thought they should have benched him in the Chicago game, and then he came and hit 3 shots in the clutch, and he shut me up. And I was happy he did because, again, they need this guy. And I hope he has the confidence to keep playing through any rough stretch that he has because they're going to need him. So it was great to see. I hope he continues to play like this. The 3-point percentage on the season now is 35.6. That needs to go up. Will and I talked about it recently. That should be around 38, 39% because he is getting open looks still. But I like what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, I mean, just on the point about the open looks, I mean, that's the reason why I was so confounded on why he was struggling because it's like, man, he gets really good shots. What about you, Lashard? What did you see from Jabari these last couple of games from with him really having a bounce back?
Yeah, again, it's just the confidence with him more than anything because, like I was saying, he gets the shots. He gets really good shots pretty much every single game. It's just the fact that sometimes he doesn't shoot as much confidence as he needs to. And then when he starts missing, it starts affecting the other parts of his game. He's not rotating as much on the defensive end. He's not helping out, being a weak side shot blocker, like he probably the best on the team when it comes to that. So I think just overall for him it's just really a confidence thing. And it's really no reason why he shouldn't be a better offensive player. I mean, he can shoot over anybody in the NBA. I mean, his shot actually looks really good. It's just kind of crazy the fact that he was just shooting just so bad for such a long period of time. And like you've seen it recently, when he starts stepping up and like we were saying with Reed, when those 2 guys are making shots, man, it just makes it just so much easier on the rest of the Rockets. So, yeah, it's good to see that he is stepping up in the clutch, that he isn't shying away from it because whether people like it or not, he's going to get the minutes. It's just no way he's going to all of a sudden you're going to look up one day and Jabari Smith's getting 19 minutes a game. One way or another, he's going to be getting 30 plus minutes a game. So for the Rockets to take that next step, if they're not going to make any other moves, Jabari Smith has to play well. If he doesn't play well, the Rockets are not going to be able to go far in the playoffs because they're just not going to have enough offensive weapons to be able to kind of make that jump from last season.
About you, Will, you ain't been able to flame them the same way the last couple of games, man.
And I love it. I love it. That's
yeah.
how it's supposed to be, man. I don't want to be right about Jabari Smith Jr., man. I want to be wrong. The thing that stood out to me the most about Jabari is, so Brad talked about the Minnesota game where he didn't actually have the best offensive game because in that game he had 9 points on 12 shots, 32 true shooting. But I think it's one of those times you got to watch the game. I thought his defense was some of the best I've ever seen him play. For someone who I've had my reservations about his defensive ability, I thought he played some phenomenal defense in that game, especially on Julius Randle in the clutch of that game. And so I wanted to make sure he got his flowers for how well I thought he played defensively in that game. He follows that game up with quite possibly the greatest shooting. Well, not even quite possibly. It was the greatest shooting performance of his career. And I don't know if I'd argue it's his best game, but it is up there. 32 points on 21 shots because he shot 7 of 13 from three, which is above 50% from three, which is absurd, especially on that type of volume. That's crazy. 70 true shooting. And the thing with Jabari for me, and it's just what I'm going to keep saying about him every time we talk about him. I think his job. I'm going to use the word easy, but I'm using that in terms of relative. Like obviously, I couldn't go out there and do Jabari's job, right? No one in this live stream could. But compared to other NBA players, I think it's a pretty simple job. We ask him to go out there and knock down the open shots that come his way off of the gravity that Shingun or Amin or KD would generate, right? That's kind of his job out there because we're not asking him to go out there and play, make, shot, create. Just take the check down, take the easy ones that come your way. And when you're someone who was scouted to be I'm gonna say an elite shooter, he's getting open, catch and shoot threes in the corners above a break. I want to see him make them. Like I forgot if it was on this podcast or Brad, but Brad had talked about the percent he wants him to shoot. I'm like, man, I want to see him shoot better than that because he's shooting open ones. And so this game right here, obviously he's not gonna shoot 7 or 13 from three every single night, but I love the fact that he got a bunch of open looks and he cashed a bunch of open looks, and that's what I want to see him do. He followed that up with a 2 of 5 performance against the Spurs, and I'm gonna be real, like I'm fine with that. You take 5 of them, shoot 40% of them. That's cool by me. And then what I also love, I'm not a huge fan of his mid ranges as much, but there was a shot that he hit where he pump faked the three and walked into it, and it looked fluid, looked in rhythm. I was fine with it, and he made it. I was cool with the shot, honestly. It's the ones where he's kind of like off balance and fading in that mid range I'm not a huge fan of, but like that one, I was cool with it.
And Will, I want to say on that same topic, he's shooting 50% on his mid range looks since Christmas on 3 attempts a game, which is really good volume and a really good percentage. For perspective, KD's shooting 5.5 a game at 49.8%. So about half the volume, but a really good percentage still.
Yeah. So, I'm loving what I'm seeing from him recently. I think I want to see him be a bit more consistent in this area before I kind of like say that we're just good now, because there's still a bit more games where he was struggling, but hopefully he's turning the corner. And like I said, I want to be wrong about it. I don't want the version of him that we saw the previous weeks, from this podcast to be who he is. I hope that the version of him we start getting more consistently is the version that he's been showing recently, because it's been really good basketball.
Yeah, consistency. No, go ahead, Short.
No, I was just gonna say real quick, B. Scott, you know this, you talk to him, and on top of that, he's just a really good dude. I mean, he's probably one of my favorite people out of the entire team to talk to. He's always humble. He like last year when he lost his starting position for the first time in his career, you didn't hear one peep out of him. All he said was he just cared about winning. And not that should matter at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it's all about winning basketball games and making shots. But I mean, that to me, that kind of goes a long way as well. He's definitely one of the best teammates on the entire team. He's all about winning. So it's just good to see him doing well, because, he was playing really bad I can definitely admit he was playing really bad for a long period of time. So it's just good to see him starting to make shots and, back to, contributing to a winning basketball team.
Yeah, definitely, dude. It seemed like he represent all the right stuff. Has felt that way since he got here. So easy to root for from that standpoint. In terms of the production, though, I just want to point out, like, a takeaway from me, and this is like based off of the 25 minutes we've been talking already, is like from the week since the last time we talked to now, is feeling really good about 2 guys that I felt were like key to the Rockets' success this year, and have been up and down for a variety of different reasons, right? But Reed Sheppard and Jabari Smith, like, just feeling way better about their space and like where they're at right now, or at least, if you wanted to do recency bias off of their most recent games. Basically Reed being the reason that they won last night, and Jabari being the reason, or at least the best player, in the game before. So that to me is a cool sign. And to Will's point, it's like it's more of a consistency thing. Can we figure out a way for Reed's minutes to get a little bit more consistent? Can we and his defense too, to be fair? Can we figure out a way for Jabari's jump shot to be a little bit more consistent? It's a question, but if it is, then I feel like we're talking about a little bit of a different team, despite some of his shortcomings, like we talked about, no Fred VanVleet, and all that sort of thing. So that was a big thing for me, just over the last week or so. Man, y'all want to just go ahead and get to the Steven Adams injury, because I feel like that's the big, Tari didn't play. I feel like, or he did, but like the Steven Adams injury to me is like one of those where you know, you realize it even more so once he's gone, how big of an impact he has. I don't know if y'all agree, but we can go around the room. How y'all feel about this report that we got the other day about him being out indefinitely with the grade 3 ankle sprain. We start with you, Brad. What's your reaction and I guess your thought about how the Rockets mitigate this? So they got killed on the boards last night, by the way. Didn't end up being as much of an issue since they won the game, but did think it was worth noting.
Yeah. So first, I was happy that it wasn't broken. The first thing we heard was it was just very swollen. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a good sign. But the grade 3 ankle sprain is not a good thing. I looked it up. It's 8 to 12 weeks for a functional recovery. For sports return, sometimes it could be 3 to 6 months. I saw an NBA doctor say sometimes the average NBA player returns in around 63 days. So we're praying Steve-O is back by playoff time. That's all I care about. As long as he's healthy, I don't want to rush him back. Get him out there. But if he's hurt, then you got to chalk it up. But yeah, the Rockets, they did lose the rebounding battle yesterday. They were getting smoked in the first half, and it was very noticeable then, B. Scott. And I was already praying, like, please, Steve, come back. In the second half, luckily, the Rockets locked in, and they killed San Antonio on the boards. A big reason why they ended up winning that game, too. But yeah, my main thing about this, as I mentioned earlier in the show, they need to find ways to offset Steven Adams dominating on the boards and, running double big. They're not going to be running double big as much. The Şengün Capella double big, I don't believe they've ran it recently. I'm happy they've gone away from that. So they're not going to be able to just muscle people on the boards. You got to find some good offense, some steady half-court play. And that's where, again, Reed Sheppard comes into play and running more sets. And I've loved some of the off-ball screens they've been running. Do those things as well. So that's what I'm looking for. It's going to suck not having them. People are going to want to say, okay, what are we going to do in the trade market? Clint has been playing pretty solid, in my opinion, much better than he did to start the season. And he had a really good stretch at the end of that last game as well. So keep playing Clint, similar to what we saw from Jock Landale when he first came. Awful first part of the year, and then towards the end he picked it up. So it's good to see Clint on that same kind of trend. Hopefully he keeps it up. I see you laughing, B. Scott.
Just the thought of Jock Landale. But or at least his time here. But I am glad that you mentioned Clint because I didn't think we acknowledged him yet about like the defense and the effort that he gave last night was really good. So shout out to him for that. Lashard, what do you think about the adjustment with Steven Adams out and sort of the significance of that?
Yeah, just kind of follow up on Brad's point. Last night they had only 6 offensive rebounds, was tied for the least amount over the entire season. Of course, that's directly related to Steven Adams. A lot of times Steven Adams has 6 offensive rebounds by himself. So that's definitely something that they're going to have to try to make up for. I think you're going to see a lot more of the Jabari Smith at center lineups because even though Clint Capella was, along with Reed Sheppard, they were the 2 main reasons that second half the Rockets were able to come back and have that win, even though he didn't have huge numbers. He only had like 6 points, maybe a couple of rebounds, but it was just his overall energy was a big reason why they were able to come back in that game. So without Clint Capella, you definitely probably don't even win that game. But I don't think they want to play Clint Capella as many minutes as Steven Adams was playing. That's why I think you're going to see a lot of the small ball lineup. But yeah, you're going to have to find different ways to be able to win games because you're not going to be able to dominate people 20-plus rebound difference in the game without Steven Adams on the court. And also, it's going to hurt because a lot of times Steven Adams would guard the bigger centers in the NBA. Like he definitely would have been guarding Wembanyama last night if he was actually in the game. So you're going to have to adjust to that as well. And having Alperen Şengün basically being your guy guarding the other team's, big time centers most of the time. So it's just a lot of things they're going to have to kind of adjust to on the fly. It's going to be really hard for him to come back this season, even in the best case scenario, just because of his past injury history. Also, he's a big man. It's always harder for them to come back for those type of injuries. So you're definitely going to probably be dependent on Clint Capella. I don't even think they're really going to be looking to make a trade to bring in another big man just because I think they're going to be comfortable trying to roll out a smaller lineup that can kind of switch at all positions. So it's definitely going to be kind of a adjustment on the fly. But at least, last night they were able to get away with it.
Will, before I throw it to you, man, I saw a number that said that the offensive rebounding rate is 45% for the Rockets with Steven Adams on the floor and 38.6% when he's off the floor. and that's still better than anybody in the league. So even without Steven Adams, they're still the best offensive rebounding team last night, notwithstanding. I just thought it was an interesting nugget. But what do you think about the adjustment that the team's gonna have to make? I would also point out his screen setting. Like that's something that I feel like I'm gonna miss as well. Especially when we're talking about Sheppard being out there or wanting him out there more. But what about you, Will?
First and foremost, I hope he's good. Like, because it looked a lot worse than what it ended up being. Like I thought he was gonna be on some torn Achilles ACL kind of thing when I saw him have to get helped off like that. So I'm glad that it wasn't that, and he can seemingly come back this season. Now the bad news is he's not like out for the year like he would be if he got like an ACL. But that grade 3 hamstring. I'm jaded from Chris Paul. The grade 3 ankle is, they say the quickest timeline on that is 3 months, which will put us right when the playoffs are starting. And even for a guy who one is a bit older, and a guy who, I'm not gonna say he's necessarily injury prone, but that's somebody you want to be careful with because of his age and because of the fact that he has racked up a lot of lower body injuries, relatively recently. I think that best case scenario of 3 months might be like a long shot. I think it's probably gonna be a bit longer than that with Steven Adams. And the other thing is one thing that I think about a lot is, and I'm gonna go from one of my tangents, but I'm gonna do it right. In the 2017 NBA season, do y'all remember when I forget if Matt Barnes got bought out by the Kings or if they just let him go and he signed with the Warriors, and they brought him over there to the Warriors when KD had got hurt, and he came over there. I think they started him a couple of games and he played really good for them. He was like a really good depth piece for that team that, because of how top heavy they were, they didn't have the best depth in the world. He was a guy they bought in very low and was very productive for them. And the same game Kevin Durant came back from his injury, Matt Barnes got hurt that same game, and it was I think it was an ankle sprain. I think it was another ankle sprain that kept him out, and he did not get to play in obviously the rest of the regular season, and he missed. I don't know if he missed a round of the playoffs, but I remember he came back like he was healthy enough to play come playoff time. And once again, he was a guy who started for them, rotation piece. But Matt Barnes told the coaching staff, and they kind of agree with him, like it doesn't make sense for them to put him back into the rotation because them dudes are already rolling without him. And so even though he was healthy, probably could have been a rotation piece, he did not play for that team come playoff time. And I say that to say, I think about that a lot of times when I think about rotation guys, or like, for example, like Fred VanVleet, the guy who, is going to be coming back or, allegedly could come back come playoff time. I think about that when he said that, because it's like, if this team is rolling come playoff time, do you want to insert that guy back into the lineup? Do you want to mess up what's working? Do you want to keep things the way they are? And nothing else. Is he even going to have enough time to ramp up to be able to play come playoff time? So I remember how he looked to start last season, because remember we got him the season before that, but he didn't play. When he came back for the first time last year, there was a real ramp up process for Steven Adams on the court where he looked kind of rough, and it was like, okay, he's kind of working his way back, kind of like what DFS is looking like right now. And so it's like, do you want Steven Adams' ramp up process to be in the playoffs when it's like there isn't any, you can't take a possession off. Every possession matters. So, like, I'm saying, we're talking best case scenario here. I don't know, man. That's what concerns me, is I don't know if he can even be someone we can pencil in to rely upon in the playoff series right now. I don't know if we can. I got a phone call. Y'all can still hear me, right?
Yeah. I got
you. We can't even
okay,
tell.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. My fault. MacBook problems. But what was I saying? I don't know if we can rely upon him to come back, right? The second thing I was gonna say, and I'll stop yapping, is I want to give Clint Capella his credit, because I think he has been phenomenal for the Rockets as of recently. I think he's someone who I was very critical of him early in the season. I think he's been a lot better for the Rockets recently. He played great for the Rockets last night against the Spurs. I looked at Clint Capella as human trade exception. That's kind of what I looked at him as. I think it's part of the reason why the Rockets signed him to the money they gave him this summer. I think was the intentions of him being tradable salary for a team that doesn't have that much tradable salary. I don't know if you can trade him anymore. And I think that's probably the most concerning aspect here of this thing, is because I don't believe in third string center, Well, he's not looking third string. He's the second string center now. So like and you do want to have another center on your roster. And the idea of trading Clint Capella would be, I think, to address an area of need. Like I wouldn't trade if Adams was healthy, I wouldn't trade Capella for another center. I would probably trade him for like some guard depth or like a shooter of some kind, something like that we don't already have on the roster. Well, now he plays a position of need now. And so I don't think he's expendable anymore. I'm not saying that I would not trade him, because like if the right trade comes on my doorstep, I'm not going to say no to it to keep Clint Capella. But in terms of being like, no, I am like going to move him at the deadline, I don't know if I can do that no more. He might got to stay, which is to me also like a bit concerning, because like I said, I was kind of looking forward to playing around with. I think he's making about $7 million this year. I was looking forward to playing with that $7 million and see what I can get, and now I probably won't be able to do that. So, on to the next, man.
I do just want to say, since you threw it out there, the idea of if Fred VanVleet were able to come back and would it mess things up or anything like that, Fred VanVleet can go. If he was able to run, assuming he's able to run up and down the floor, I would throw him out there.
Oh, no. And for the record, I think
you know what I'm saying?
the question for me with Fred were to come back, no, number one, no, he's the caliber player where he's going to play. But do I start him? I don't know. If he comes back and the team is looking good, rolling into the playoffs, I might bring him off the bench, especially at least for like y'all remember when in 2022 when the Warriors won it all, because I forgot what injury Steph had, but Steph came off the bench in that first playoff series they had. It was against the Nuggets. He came off the bench for them. I think he played like 30 minutes or so. But I might bring Fred off the bench to kind of try to ease him back into things, as opposed to just starting him and throwing him back into the Wolves. Like I said, considering his first minutes this season would be the playoffs. So.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we kind of worked around or worked backwards a little bit. The Tari Eason return wasn't like a whole lot. Rockets won the game. He played just a little bit under 20 minutes, if I'm seeing this correctly. Last night was 3 of 6 from the field. What did y'all think from Tari? First of all, just I would say good to have him back. Good to see him back out there. We can go around the room on that. What did y'all think about the Tari minutes that you got, and what's the feeling of having him back, and clearly just the impact of that for the team? Brad, we'll start with you.
I'll start with the negatives because I have a lot of positives. He needs to stop turning the ball over so much. Too many unforced errors from Tari Eason.
That's the experience, dog. Come on, man. That's the experience.
Yeah. So we gotta get the ball under control there. Outside of that, what Tari Eason does. He checked into the game and he rips Stephen Castle immediately, right? He's blocking. He blocked a shot probably like a minute or two after that led the Rockets to another fast break. So it's great to have that energy since he came back from his first injury this year. He's still shooting 42% in that stretch. On the year, he's over 45% from three. Still outstanding. Seems like he's knocking down everything in the corner. So it's good to have him back. He's a huge piece to this team. And you just have to pray he stays healthy. We're halfway through the season, and Tari Eason has played 21 games, I believe. I'll double check right now. Yeah, he's played 22 games of 41. So they need him 1,000%, especially with Steven Adams being gone. He's a huge part of this team. You mentioned the Rockets still have the best offensive rebounding percentage in the league, even without Steven Adams. Huge part of that is Tari Eason gets a ton of boards, along with Amin Thompson and Şengün. But Tari, for sure, is a guy who gets a ton of boards. So I hope he can stay healthy. He's a big part of this team. He was starting. I'm curious to see if they throw him back in the starting lineup. In that last game, it was a Kogi. We'll see what happens. I know we mentioned Reed Sheppard earlier in this episode, but wherever Tari Eason is, he's going to be an impact player. So, again, I'm excited to have him back, and I hope he can keep that. I misspoke, that 46.9 three-point percentage alive. It's great to see from him.
What did you see, LaShard?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. You know what you're going to get from Tari Eason. It's going to be a lot of really good things, and then one or two, like, what in the world is he doing type things. I mean, that's just kind of the Tari Eason, like you said, experience. But overall, he's going to make a positive impact. It also just gives MA more options, especially because we know he loves having his 3-and-D wings out on the court. That just gives him more option. If Dorian Finney-Smith is going to take even longer to kind of get up to speed, now you have Tari Eason kind of fill his spot. If Jabari struggles again, now you can bring Tari Eason in, or maybe if Tari's already starting, he can play more minutes, because I think when Jabari was struggling, Tari was out. I think that Jabari wouldn't have been playing nearly as many minutes, but they didn't really have a lot of other options. But now you have Tari back that can kind of fill in those other minutes if certain players aren't playing well at power forward or small forward, whatever the position is. That definitely gives you more option. And also, hopefully, it helps them kind of limit some of Kevin Durant's minutes because Durant's still playing way too many minutes. I mean, I know he loves to play basketball. I know he always wants to be out on the court. But you can't keep playing Kevin Durant 40-plus minutes a game. That's just not a good recipe for the end of the season. Even if he, doesn't get hurt, you're still putting a lot of wear and tear on his body before you get to the playoffs. So that just also just helps limit other guys' liabilities. Either it's injury or bad play, you have another guy that you can kind of throw out there. And most of the time he's going to be making positive plays out there on the court.
About you, Will, having Tari back, man. How you feeling about it?
Oh, and I want to see him ramp back up. He's looking like a guy who just came off of a pretty, I'm not gonna say serious injury, but an injury that kept him off for a period of time. So I want to see him ramp back up. But like Lashard said, I think Brad's been touching on it as well. Like Tari Eason is gonna be the type of guy to go out there and he's gonna do something really, really crazy, and he's gonna do something you're like, what are you doing?
You always know when he's on the floor.
Yep.
You always know it.
Worse,
for better or worse, he's on the floor. You know about it.
Yep, absolutely. Somebody just in the chat. I don't know how Tari's supposed to contest that Julian Champagnie shot if that's considered a foul, because he didn't touch his hand, didn't touch his arm, didn't get his body. He got the leg extended kick out. And I serious question for the refs. How do you guard that then? What do you do? I don't know how you're supposed to guard a shooter if him kicking his leg out and then falling is considered a foul on the defensive play. I just don't know what you're supposed to do in that scenario. So, yeah, I don't know. But no, I love Tari Eason. He's one of my favorite players on the team. And I think he should run back up, start putting up threes on volume again. That's one thing, because we don't have that many guys to do that. So I kind of, and he's I wonder, do you know where he ranks, Brad, in terms of 3-point percentage in the league?
I'll double check right now. I'm actually on NBA.com. So
he is okay. Wait, don't do it. If you haven't done it, don't do it.
He was first like a week ago.
But he's not first.
Or like two
funny enough, there's a very funny name here. Okay, so funny if he's not number one no more. That is funny to former Rockets number one. He don't play that much right now. So that's the way hit you get. Modern day Rockets legend.
Eric Gordon.
Yes, he is the highest 3-point percentage in the league right now. But Tari Eason is still high up. I don't know. Just throw out a number where y'all think he is right now.
I'll filter it out and get my.
I'm gonna just guess. I'm gonna just guess. Lucky 7.
A little too high.
All right.
He's number 10. But
10, okay.
Funny enough, there's another Rocket in the top 10. Do you know who it is?
An actual Rocket, current Rocket?
Yes, current Rocket. He's on the team right now. In the top 10. He is number 9.
Reed Sheppard?
Nope. You would not think this guy would be in the top 10. No.
How many threes has he taken?
That's the question you should be asking, because I don't think he's taken that many.
JD Davison?
It's not.
No,
it's
he's
not
shooting
JD
like
Davison.
28% from three.
It's not JD Davison. Let me see. I'll tell you like the exact number. I would be surprised if it's more than 10. It may not even be that many. Where is totals at, man?
All right, so I looked it up.
Jayshawn Tate?
No, it's not Tate.
I
lied. He's taken 17 threes. He's made 8 of them.
17 threes.
So I'll give it like another 30 seconds to guess.
Not Shingo. Well, no, Shingo's taking more than that. 17. Who's taking 17 threes? Who's the most likely on the team to take? Hold on. Before you count down, Will. Who's most likely to take 17 threes by now? We should know this.
Averaging 1.1 threes a game.
All right, you can start your countdown.
If you want to play along in the comments, it's not JD though. No, it's not JD.
This is terrible.
I'm tweaking.
No, it's not Aaron, because he hadn't been shooting well.
He's been shooting
terrible.
terrible.
Everybody but him, honestly.
Y'all
said everybody but this guy.
Kogi?
Haven't said no, not a Kogi.
No.
Okay, so we haven't said everybody.
It's not Jayshawn. It's got to be Jayshawn Tate. No,
I'll say it's not Tate, but y'all are very hot when y'all say Tate and Aaron. That's the hint I'll give you. You're very warm.
Who be sitting over there? Oh, Jeff Green.
Jeff Green is number 9.
Bro, I don't watch the games when they get blown out. To be honest, that's my issue. I haven't seen any of those.
8 of 17 on the
Nah.
I'm
Hey,
just used to
no, that's
him
a bad.
looking into the camera or something. That's the only time
That's
I
a
Well,
bad job by me for even forgetting Jeff Green was on
well,
the
I'll
team,
say
man. I ain't
this.
gonna lie.
I'll say this on the Tari Eason front. Amongst players qualified and players who have at least taken a good amount of threes, Tari's third in the league in 3-point percentage. So
Who
still
is
doing really
ahead
well.
of him?
Jalen Tyson, who's been cutting up. For anyone who doesn't watch Cavs games, I don't watch Cavs games. And then Bobby Portis. So those two.
Really, Bobby Portis is taking 4 threes a night and making them into a 47%
Yeah.
clip.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting, man. Interesting.
Mhm. That's it.
All right, so bonus topic here, real quick, since we do have a little bit more time. Dorian Finney-Smith's name came up. Where are we at with this? Because look, I'm just gonna put this out there, man. Whenever I see him out there, it looked like my man's getting cardio. I'm not really, and I'm not saying this. I'm not even trying to clown him because I was in favor of the sign. I was actually surprised they got him because I thought he was actually a little bit too good for the role. I thought he was going to play on the team or would play on the team, and so I was like, oh, bet they got Dorian Finney-Smith. I ain't know about the injury. Of course, we already know how things have gone and everything like that. But like, is anybody concerned about how long it's taking? Should we? Am I being a little bit impatient here, or should like we kind of just expect this to be like the natural ramp up? Would y'all say? Like, I just don't feel like we're getting a lot or enough from Dorian Finney-Smith, despite the fact that missed all that time.
So he's played 12 games now. It was a rough 8 or so to start. And even recently, right? You're looking at the 3-point percentage and it's 25.8%. You're getting him as a guy advertised around 40%. He did that for the Nets. He did that for the Lakers. He had absolutely ridiculous on-off swings for both of those teams. So that's what I'm expecting when the Rockets are getting him. Again, and also a guy who's really good at protecting the paint as a non-big. So I want to say he did really good defense. He played really good defense yesterday against Victor Wembanyama. He held him to 0-3 from the field. Actually guarded him more than any other Rocket. And he was on the floor when the Rockets had that run in the fourth quarter as well. So I liked what I saw from him there. He didn't make it 3 in that last game, but the Pels game was his best game of the year. And again, not the highest bar. He had 8 points all in that fourth quarter. Hit an and one layup, hit a 3 in another bucket. So of course I want to see a lot more from him. You know, he is ramping up. Give him a little bit more time. I think I usually give a guy like, what is he at? I said 12. I'll give him to like 20 games. And I'm like, all right, bro, come on. Because again, I mentioned it. No Steven Adams. Lashar's laughing. I'm serious. Like you missing Steven Adams. Everybody needs to step up. And it's good to have him back. The Rockets are 8-4 in his 12 games. But I want to see Dorian Finney-Smith, the guy who's making 13, 14 million a year, and a guy who was in a crazy on-off swing for the Lakers and Nets. I want to see that guy on the Rockets because I believe he's a perfect fit for Ime Udoka and what he does. So let's just get that 3-point percentage up, start locking up on defense like we did yesterday against Victor, and we good. You know, that's where I'm at.
Well said. What you think, LaShard, man? That's kind of how I was looking at it. Just for the investment. I'm like, a little bit more than that, bro.
So I think when they brought him over, when they first signed him, they wanted him to start. I don't know how much they knew about how serious the injury was. I have no idea on that, but I think ultimately they wanted him in that starting lineup. And I just think for him, I honestly, I would give him another month. And I say that just because it is extremely difficult to get up to speed during the regular season on a brand new team with a whole different system. That's extremely difficult to do. You got to remember, he had no training camp. He had no off season, pretty much. You can't really do a lot if you have an ankle surgery. So he's doing a lot of this during the season on the fly on a team that, you know, this is his first season playing on. So for me, I'm not surprised at all that it's going to take him a little bit of time to kind of get up to speed. So, yeah, if we're getting into mid-February and he's still going out there and shooting 1 for 5 and he looks like he barely can get up and down the court, then, yeah, we definitely have a problem at that point. But I still think he needs a little bit more time. He's really I would say in his preseason mode at this point. When he first came back, he was in training camp against the Lakers, and now he's kind of in preseason mode right now. So I don't even think he's really even ramped up to where he would be in his regular season shape. So I just think it's going to probably take another couple of weeks before you really start to see the kind of benefits of having Dorian Finney-Smith. So, yeah, I would definitely give him a little bit more time. And I think, you know, each game he's kind of doing one thing or another a little bit better than he did the game before.
Lashard, when you say a little bit more time, I say like 20 games. Again, he's at 12. What's
Yeah.
how much you giving him?
I would say that's probably what, like another week and a half, 2 weeks. I think that's just when you really kind of start to see him. And I think that's when ML started to kind of ramp up his minutes too, because he's still hovering around the same amount of minutes, 15 to 20 minutes a game. So I'll probably say February, I would say he should be closer to where you think he should be at that point, where he kind of was with the Lakers. I think that's when you kind of really start to see the benefits of having Dorian Finney-Smith. Because like you said, Brad, he's the exact type of player that MA loves to have out on the court, a guy that can guard multiple positions, that can make the three-pointer. That's exactly the type of guy that MA loves. So I would say probably in another couple of weeks, he should be at the point where he's actually really in game shape.
And I want to add too that his effort is outstanding. You know, like you can tell that he doesn't quite have it yet, but he's not shortchanging you. And I certainly respect that. And along the lines of what y'all are saying about him being an MA type of guy, I got to give him that E for effort, since I did kind of bring his name up and kind of bring the topic up. I do want to acknowledge that, you know, I do respect the effort so far. What about you, Will? What you saying for DFS?
Defensively, I think he's actually been very good for the Rockets, especially for a guy who is like getting his legs back from underneath him. I think he's played some really good defense. That's something I noticed from him from the moment he played for the Rockets. But offensively, it has been a work in progress, right? Because, you know, we're not expecting DFS to be a shot creator or a playmaker of any kind, but his job is to go out there and take the easy ones, right? Similar to Jabari, right? The open threes, maybe, you know, take a closeout here and there if you're open underneath the basket, make the layup, different stuff like that. And I pulled up his numbers. He is shooting, but he has 3 points per game on 30, 26. Hasn't missed a free throw yet, 100 splits, right? 42.4 true shooting, which is like probably like 15 below league average at this point. So yeah, obviously not the greatest. And he's only playing 50.5 minutes per game, which is kind of the other thing is like, even for like nights like last night where I thought he actually was pretty solid, you really can't play him because he doesn't, you know, he's still ramping up. So he hasn't that many minutes on him. So I think my biggest issue with him right now is just, I want to see him shoot better from three, and I want to be able to play him a bit more than when we're playing him, because we're kind of in that point in time, especially with like Shingo's been in out the lineup with injuries. Adams now out the lineup with injuries. I feel like somebody else missed a couple of games. I mean, Tari obviously missed a couple of games with injuries. It would be nice to have another playable body out there. And I think DFS is someone who the Rockets envisioned being. I thought there was a point somewhere he might have started for this team. And so far we haven't been able to, you know, get that version of him just yet. Now, like y'all been pointing out, he didn't get a training camp. He's coming off of a pretty serious ankle surgery. So like, I am going to be aware of that when I make my evaluations of him, that like, hey, he's literally ramping himself. I think I said this on the podcast last week. Every passing game, I'm seeing more and more art get put on his jumper. So that tells me, like I said, his legs are coming back. So like, I'm going to be a bit more patient, but if we keep losing games, I'm gonna start being a bit more impatient. And then the I guess the unfortunate part for DFS is, because Steven Adams is hurt and Clint Capella is probably going to have to be a backup center now, he becomes the most expendable salary. So if a trade comes to your doorstep and you're like, I want to make a move, it's, you know, it might be him. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the little bit of the, I don't want to say elephant in the room, because I don't think a lot of people are really talking about that, but it's like, you much rather see that work out as opposed to have to like ship it out, and, you know, bring something else in. So, all right. I mean, that's most of the topics here. I don't know. I know the Shard mentioned, I think in kind of in our show prep, you mentioned KD's minutes. One of y'all did mention KD's minutes, something we talked a little bit about last week, and you kind of hit on that now. I mean, I'll just add that, like, you know, kind of to that point, KD's minutes still worry me a little bit. Like, just being this reliant on somebody, not just that age, but that has played as much, that's played as much as he has. That's still something that's still bothering me just a little bit. Still a little bit of a concern. And then now, of course, as we're talking about these injuries starting to pile up, and then you also got guys coming back that are ramping up. It just kind of just a you know, poor timing of all of that. I don't know if y'all got anything on KD's minutes, but if not,
yeah, I'll say this.
Yeah,
I looked it up for players who have played 39 games, which is where KD's at or less. He leads everyone in that category in minutes by a wide margin. That's total minutes on the season. Now, if I go to per game, I want to say Lashard brought it up as well. He's probably top 5 in minutes per game.
Don't like it.
He's top 3, behind Amin Thompson and Tyrese Maxey.
Not a fan.
of course, that comes with the Rockets not blowing teams out like they're supposed to. If they want to lower his minutes, they're going to start. They need to take care of business earlier, like they were doing in the beginning of the season. They're going to be in these games where you need him in a stretch. He's going to have to play more minutes. It's just a matter of what it is. Right now, they're on pace for 52 wins, and the Western Conference, if you've seen the standings, is ridiculously close. We just saw Minnesota on the verge of taking a 2-3 seed. They lost 3 in a row, and now they're in the 7th spot. So the Rockets have to lock in, and if they want to give KD more rest, they just got to take care of business earlier in games. So that's just what it is. I'm grateful that he's only missed 2 games this year, and those 2 games were for personal reasons. So he's been healthy, knock on wood. I hope that stays the same. But yeah, it's not good seeing him being 3rd in minutes per game. But hey, they need him, right? And they just have to take care of business.
All right, if that's on that, man, Brad, we can check the chat, see what the Rockets collective.
Let's see your questions. Somebody, should we make a trade for MPJ and Shaden Sharp? We don't have the money to.
Where was that? Who said that? I found it. Different
Different
moves.
I'm just gonna have money for it.
Good
Also,
for
I don't.
Michael Porter Jr. and Shaden Sharp.
I don't.
Day'Ron Sharp, I'm assuming.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense. I actually
he's on the
like
Nets.
Day'Ron Sharp, but
it's a good pull.
MPJ making too much money.
The problem is Rockets don't have the salaries. I mean, I know people always like to throw out Fred VanVleet, but he has that implied no trade clause, so he's not going anywhere.
And they love him. They're not trading Fred VanVleet.
No, Jabari Smith contract hasn't kicked in yet, so he's only making around $12-13 million a year. They don't have a lot of guys.
He's poison pill too.
Yeah, on top of that, yeah. So you're not trading Şengün, you're not trading Kevin Durant. Those are 2 guys that make the most money. So then you're talking about smaller salaries. So more than likely, you're talking about smaller moves. They're not really going to be able to bring in somebody who's making $20, $30, $40 million a year. That's just going to be extremely hard for them, to do this season.
So we have a question. Are the Rockets even active in trade talks, likely to stay put? Sorry, do you have anything on that or anybody?
So just from what I hear, I'm not Kelly Iko or anybody, but just from what I hear around the Toyota Center, I really feel like they'll make some type of move. It may not be the move everybody wants them to make, some big, huge, splashy move like bringing in Giannis or somebody like that.
It's not going to be that.
But but I think they will make some type of move to bring in some type of guard help. Because they do have smaller contracts that they can trade, like a Jae'Sean Tate, like Aaron Holiday. All those guys that they re-signed are now eligible to be traded. I think they do make some type of smaller move like that because the buyout market is just not like it used to be in years past. Teams are just not buying out players like they used to. So that you can't really just depend on, okay, I'll just wait around to see who gets bought out. That's just not the way the NBA works now with this new collective bargaining agreement. So, but I think the Rockets will make some type of smaller move that kind of reinforce that backcourt, because we all know that's their biggest issue. Even with Steven Adams getting hurt, they definitely still need somebody in the backcourt, because you can't depend on and say, well, Fred VanVleet is going to be back for the playoffs, because nobody even knows. I don't know if Fred even knows if he's going to be back for the playoffs. So you still have to bring somebody else in that can handle the basketball, because we see when the Rockets face pressure in the backcourt, that's when they really start to turn the ball over. So I do think they make some smaller move. It's just not going to be some big flashy move.
Yeah, what else we got in the chat? Any other questions? Should KD be the MVP? I didn't like hearing the MVP chance for Wemby. And you know what? Look, because there were Spurs fans at Toyota Center, which shouldn't surprise people. We get a little bit of that. But hey, since we got like a minute left, what y'all think about all of these damn delays at Toyota Center, man? If it's not the clock, it's the day go. Man, look, I got to Toyota Center 20 minutes after what I thought was supposed to be tip-off.
And it still hadn't started. Yeah.
Man, I was able to get food. I was able to get more food by the time I actually got to my seat, and they still hadn't started, man. It's crazy. It's crazy how these delays have been happening. So, but yeah.
It's been bad, but that's all I have to say about it.
Side commentary.
Just real quick on that, just make it even worse. The second one happened right when the Rockets had all the momentum, and I was like, man, if they lose this game because of that, that's just crazy.
Yeah, so always something. All right, man. If we don't have any more questions to hit on, we're right at about an hour, man. We've enjoyed it, man. Rockets Collective. Make sure y'all check us out, man. We're here every week, midweek, depending on what day that the Rockets play. But Catch us around this time next week, man. Always enjoy the time and the banter and the back and forth, man. Rockets Collective weekly here for Will and Brado, Lashard Binkley. I am Brandon Scott, and we appreciate y'all's time, man. See y'all next time.